For anyone trying to navigate, this whole AI landscape, you realize pretty quickly that getting an LLM to really do what you want, well, it's not just about typing a clever question, is it?
Not at all.
There's this whole discipline emerging, kind of a mix of art and rigorous method. They're calling it prompt engineering.
That's the term, yeah.
So today, we're really digging into that. We've got insights from a fascinating roundtable with experts from Anthropic, and we're also pulling from some top guides by Google Cloud and the Prompt Engineering Guide folks.
Some really good sources there.
Right. And our mission, really, for this deep dive, is to figure out why crafting these instructions, which seem simple, is actually seen as an engineering challenge, and what it really takes to get good at it. By the end, hopefully, you'll have a much better handle on how to talk to AI effectively.
Yeah, what separates like a decent prompt from a really great one.
Exactly. And how you can start sharpening that skill yourself. Okay, so let's unpack this.
Let's do it.
Okay, first things first. Let's get a baseline definition. The Google Cloud Guide calls prompt engineering the art and science of designing and optimizing prompts.
Right. Art and science.
Yeah, so it's not just, throwing words out there.
Yeah.
It's about guiding these LLMs carefully, giving them the right context.
Context, instructions, examples.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's about providing the necessary scaffolding.
So fundamentally, it's about getting the most out of the model.
Precisely. You're trying to extract the absolute best performance, and that usually boils down to incredibly clear, precise communication.
Okay.
It's a bit like talking to a person, maybe like a very capable assistant you've just hired. But there's a twist.
A twist.
Yeah, it demands a slightly different kind of interaction than you'd have with a human to really unlock its full potential.
Okay, that makes sense. Clear communication is always key. But why engineering? Why not just call it prompt writing?
Ah, good question.
What makes it engineering?
The engineering part, it really comes from the process, the iteration. The trial and error.
Iteration.
Yeah. Unlike talking to a person where, you have the chat, they go off and do the task. Maybe you check in later. With an AI, you have this amazing restart button.
Oh, right. You can just try again immediately.
Exactly. Go back to zero, tweak something small, see what happens, refine it. It's that constant back and forth, that independent experimentation. Designing, testing, redesigning, optimizing. That's the engineering mindset.
So it's about building and refining, not just like writing a memo.
Precisely. It's a constructive, iterative process.
And it sounds like it goes beyond just tweaking one single prompt, too.
Yeah.
I remember David from Anthropic stressed that prompts often need to be integrated within your system as a whole.
Oh, absolutely crucial point. Yeah, it's rarely just one magic prompt floating in space.
So how does that work?
Well, think of prompts as basically the way you program these models now.
Program them, like code.
In a sense, yeah. It requires systems thinking. You have to consider the whole setup. Where's the data coming from? Are you using our, retrieval augmented generation to pull in outside facts? What about latency? How fast do you need the answer? How much context can you realistically feed it? It's about how you build the entire process around the model.
Right. It's a whole pipeline.
Exactly. It's complex enough, the systems level design, that it really feels like its own distinct field. It's not just software engineering, not just project management, it's prompt engineering.
So it's definitely not just about writing a nice essay then. You mentioned prompts being like code. Does that mean things like precision, version control, tracking experiments? Are those as important as they are for actual software code?
Increasingly, yes. You're treating these prompts like bits of logic. Just like you wouldn't push code to production without testing and versioning, the same kind of rigor is starting to apply to important prompts.
Wow.
It's this iterative, systematic, hands-on approach. That's what makes it engineering, not just, casual chatting.
Okay, that paints a much clearer picture of the what and the why. Now let's shift to the who. What makes someone a good prompt engineer? What are the key qualities?
Well, okay, clear communication is definitely table stakes. You need to be able to state things clearly, understand the task, describe concepts well. That's foundational.
Makes sense.
But here's something interesting from the sources, maybe a bit surprising. Being a really good writer, like having a natural literary flair, it's actually not as strongly correlated with being a good prompt engineer as you might think.
Wait, really? That seems counterintuitive.
Right.
If it's about communication.
Right. But it seems the real differentiator isn't elegant prose. It's something else.
Which is?
An almost obsessive willingness to iterate.
Iterate again. Okay.
Yeah, one of the Anthropic experts mentioned sending hundreds of prompts to the model. in just like 15 minutes.
Hundreds. Wow.
It's less about crafting that perfect first sentence and way more about constantly fixing what the model maybe misunderstood. Adjusting, refining, tweaking. That relentless back and forth.
So it's like rapid-fire experimentation, being a detective trying to figure out where the AI went wrong.
Exactly. And, crucially important, a good prompt engineer actively thinks about ways in which your prompt might go wrong.
Anticipating problems. Edge cases.
Precisely. Thinking about the unusual cases. What if the input is an empty string? What if the user types with, like, no shift key and every other word is a typo?
Stuff you might not immediately consider.
You have to find those weird cases and build prompts that are robust enough to handle them, or at least fail gracefully.
Which is why just writing the prompt isn't enough. You have to really read the model outputs carefully.
Well, absolutely. It's like looking at your data in traditional ML. You can't just assume it's following your instruction to think step by step. You've got to check the work.
Verify. Don't just trust.
Exactly. And then there's this other layer. They called it the weird theory of mind piece.
Theory of mind. For an AI.
Sort of. You have to try and anticipate how the model's going to view your instructions. A human might ask you clarifying questions if something's ambiguous.
Right, what did you mean by that?
The model generally won't. So you have to anticipate the ambiguities. Especially for like enterprise uses where end users are involved. You need to think about how they're going to talk to the model too.
You have to preempt the confusion.
You do. And here's a really powerful practical tip that came up.
Yeah.
Ask the model.
Ask the model about its own mistake.
Yes. If it gets something wrong, don't just sigh and fix the prompt. Ask it. Why did you get this wrong? Can you analyze your process? Can you maybe even suggest a better way I could have asked that?
Wow, does that actually work?
It's not perfect, but the expert said you learn something every single time. You get a little peek into its reasoning, its failure modes.
It's fascinating, like debugging with the AI.
Kind of, and it reinforces that core idea. Don't just trust it blindly. You need to hammer on it with testing. A few really well-constructed prompts that came out of that kind of deep interaction, they give you way more useful signal than thousands that aren't as well crafted.
Quality over quantity in testing.
Definitely. So if you want to get better at this, it's not about becoming Shakespeare.
No.
It's about becoming a meticulous experimenter, a thoughtful debugger, someone who anticipates problems and learns from every single interaction. It's a discovery process.
Okay, that's a really helpful framing. Let's dive a bit deeper now into specific techniques. We hear a lot about role prompting, telling the model, you are a helpful assistant, or you are a screen reader for a blind user. Does that kind of thing actually work well?
It's nuanced. Sometimes, yeah, metaphors or personas can help, especially if the task is a bit abstract. Like, imagine you were doing X.
Okay.
But for the really capable models we have now, like Claude 3.5, the experts seem to feel, I just don't see it as necessary to lie to them.
Lie to them. Interesting way to put it.
Well, yeah, it's often better to just be very honest with the model about the whole situation. Tell it the actual task. If you need it to help build an evaluation data set for another LLM, just say that.
Yeah.
The model's probably smart enough to know what that means.
Be direct. Skip the metaphor sometimes.
Often, yes. There was a great analogy in the sources.
What was that?
They said, imagine you have this task. You've hired a temp agency. This person arrives. They're pretty competent. What would you say to that person?
Okay, yeah.
Often, if you just, voice record what you'd naturally say to a competent human doing the task, and then transcribe that, that makes a fantastic prompt.
Just explain it like you would to a capable person.
Exactly. And related to that clarity, another really key strategy, give them outs.
Give them outs, like an escape hatch.
Sort of. If the model hits an input it can't handle, or it's unsure, tell it explicitly in the prompt to output something specific, like unsure in tags, instead of just guessing or making something up.
So it flags the problem instead of hallucinating.
Right. And bonus,
Right.
It helps you find the screwed up examples in your own data that are causing the model problems. Improves your data quality over time.
That's smart. Very practical. Okay, what about chain of thought? COT prompting. Getting the model to show its work, basically.
Right. Step-by-step reasoning.
There's this debate, isn't there? Is that reasoning real? Or is it just like the model buying itself time to compute?
Yeah, the philosophy is interesting. But from a practical engineering standpoint,
Yeah.
it just works. Your model does better. Simple as that.
It just improves the results, regardless of the philosophical interpretation.
Pretty much. Even if one step in its written thought process seems a little off, it often still gets to the right final answer. And the feeling is, if you asked it to, say, write a story before it finished a task, I do not think would work as well.
Right.
Which suggests the actual reasoning part is doing something towards the outcome. It's not just filler. It provides a useful structure.
Okay, got it. And just quickly, on a very practical level, grammar, punctuation, typos in the prompt, how much does that matter?
Well, being careful doesn't hurt. It shows attention to detail.
I bet.
Honestly, the model knows what I mean, especially the modern RLHF models, the ones trained with human feedback.
Like Claude 3.5.
Exactly. They're very polished. They're much less likely to copy your typo into their own output compared to, say, older pre-trained models that just mirrored the input more directly. So clarity is good, but don't sweat every single comma, especially when you're iterating fast.
Good to know. It's amazing how fast this stuff changes. Let's look at that evolution. How has prompt engineering changed, say, in just the last 3 years, from older models to today's best?
The biggest trend really is that anytime we got a really good prompt engineering hack, the next thing is, how do we train this into the model?
So the best tricks get absorbed into the model itself.
Exactly, which means the best things are always going to be short-lived. The example given was asking for step-by-step math reasoning. That used to be a clever hack you needed to prompt for.
Yeah.
Now the models are just naturally trained to do it much better. It's baked in.
So does that mean our fundamental trust in the models has shifted?
Definitely. The experts are now much more biased to trust it with more and more information and context, instead of trying to simplify things for the model, like babying it.
You give it the complex stuff directly.
Yeah. The advice is often just give it the paper, give it the full academic paper, don't try and summarize it first, let the model handle the complexity.
Wow. That's a big change.
It is, and it leads to this really interesting cognitive shift for the engineers themselves.
How so?
Instead of simplifying the world for the model, they're now trying to simulate what it's like to be a pre-trained model and the mind space of different RLHF models.
Whoa, okay. Unpack that.
It means you start thinking about how the model likely processes information given its training. You adapt your communication style based on how capable you think that specific model is. You're trying to speak its language almost.
So where does this all lead? What's the future look like? Or are we all going to be prompt engineers? Or will the models get so smart we won't need to prompt them at all?
Well, the consensus seems to be that it's always going to be important to be able to specify what do you expect to happen. You'll always need to define the goal.
Okay.
But how we do that will change. The tools, the collaboration, it'll evolve. One expert imagined Claude becoming my prompting assistant.
Using the AI to help prompt the AI.
Exactly. We'll use models to help us much more, to help us with prompting. Think about AI generating examples for you, giving you feedback on your instructions, enabling this much richer, high bandwidth interaction.
That leads nicely into that designer analogy that came up. Can you explain that?
Yeah, it's a shift in roles. Right now, we often act like the person hiring the temp agency. We know what we want. We give detailed instruction.
Right. The user is the expert on the task.
But the future might be more like consulting a designer. They're the expert in their domain, and they have to work to actually figure out what you want based on your, perhaps, vague ideas.
So the model becomes the expert trying to understand us. The model will prompt me.
That's the fascinating potential shift. The key skill for us might become introspection.
Introspection.
Yeah, making yourself legible to the model, being able to define new concepts, to really externalize your brain so the AI can understand your unique context, your goals, your ways of thinking.
It sounds like being a philosopher explaining complex ideas to an educated layperson, as they put it.
Exactly. The AI becomes a tool not just for doing, but for helping us clarify our own thoughts and intentions, making our internal world understandable to it.
That's a profound change. We really covered a lot here, from prompt engineering as this iterative science to the skills needed, the techniques, and now this future where the AI actually helps us articulate what we want.
It's really fascinating, isn't it? That core skill, being able to clearly externalize your brain, make complex ideas understandable. It's becoming more critical, not less, in this AI age.
It's not just about instructing anymore, it's about deep articulation.
Precise.
So maybe the final thought for you, the listener, is this. As AI gets more capable, more collaborative, how will you need to adapt your own thinking, your own communication, to truly unlock its potential? Not just for getting tasks done, but maybe for better understanding your own needs and ideas.
A really important question to ponder.
Definitely something to think about. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the truly fascinating world of prompt engineering. Keep exploring, keep learning, and keep asking those insightful questions.